Rasheeda's face went completely blank the second the producer hit play on that leaked recording, and everybody on set knew something terrible was about to happen. The room got so quiet you could hear chairs moving across the floor while cast members stared at each other in shock. Jasmine sat frozen near the makeup station, arms crossed, trying to act calm, but the moment that voice came through the speakers mentioning Kirk's name, the tension exploded instantly. "You really thought she would never hear this," one producer whispered off camera. And then came the part nobody was prepared for. The audio allegedly captured Jasmine laughing with a friend about Rasheeda's marriage problems while claiming Kirk had secretly been calling her again behind closed doors. But what pushed everybody over the edge was the accusation that Jasmine had been collecting receipts for months and waiting for the perfect moment to humiliate Rasheeda publicly. Fans online were already shocked when rumors of the recording leaked earlier that morning, but nobody expected the confrontation to happen right there in the middle of filming. Rasheeda stood up slowly at first, her eyes locked directly onto Jasmine while Kirk rushed across the room trying to calm her down before things got worse. "Rasheeda, don't do this here," Kirk reportedly begged. But emotions were already too high. Jasmine fired back immediately, accusing Kirk of lying to both women for years while claiming she was tired of being blamed for everything. The argument became so heated that security guards started moving closer before anyone even raised their voice fully. Cast members looked terrified as producers screamed for cameras to keep rolling. Then suddenly, Rasheeda lunged forward. A loud smack echoed across the set. Several people gasped. One camera operator allegedly dropped equipment during the chaos while Kirk grabbed Rasheeda from behind, trying desperately to pull her away. Jasmine stumbled backward in complete disbelief, clutching her face while shouting, "You mad at the wrong person?" Some cast members defended Rasheeda, saying years of betrayal finally pushed her too far. Others claimed Jasmine intentionally leaked the audio to destroy the marriage once and for all. And now fans are demanding to know one thing. What exactly was on the rest of that recording nobody has heard yet? The second that slap connected with Jasmine's face, the entire set exploded into pure chaos. Security rushed forward while producers screamed at everybody to stay back. But nobody was listening anymore. Rasheeda was shaking with anger so badly that Kirk had to hold both her arms just to stop her from charging again. Jasmine stumbled backward into one of the makeup tables, knocking over brushes, mirrors, and water bottles as cast members jumped out of the way. One producer kept yelling for cameras to keep rolling, because everybody already knew this was about to become the most explosive moment the show had seen in years. Jasmine held her cheek in complete disbelief before pointing directly at Kirk with tears already forming in her eyes. "You did this," she screamed. "You sat there lying to everybody while she blamed me for everything." Kirk looked completely panicked as he tried pulling Rasheeda toward another room, but Rasheeda refused to move. "Nah, let her talk," Rasheeda shouted while trying to break free from Kirk's grip. "Since she got all this secret audio and all these stories, let her tell everybody the truth right now." The room went dead silent again because nobody expected Rasheeda to challenge Jasmine like that. Even the cast members standing in the corner stopped whispering because they knew something bigger was coming. Jasmine wiped tears from her face before laughing bitterly. "You really think your husband innocent?" she asked. "You really think Kirk ain't been calling me?" Kirk instantly stepped forward yelling, "That's a damn lie," but Jasmine pulled out her phone so fast that several people gasped. "You want receipts," she snapped. "I got years of receipts." Producers immediately tried stopping her from showing anything on camera, but Jasmine was already scrolling through screenshots while Rasheeda stared at Kirk with growing disbelief. One female cast member whispered, "Oh, this marriage is done." Kirk kept trying to explain himself, saying Jasmine was twisting old conversations and trying to destroy his family for attention. But Jasmine was no longer holding back. She claimed Kirk had secretly contacted her months ago after one of his biggest fights with Rasheeda. According to Jasmine, Kirk complained constantly about feeling trapped in his marriage and allegedly told her he regretted how everything played out publicly years ago. Rasheeda looked physically sick listening to it. Fans online had always suspected there were still unresolved feelings between Kirk and Jasmine, but hearing Jasmine describe private conversations in detail made the entire room uncomfortable. "Tell her what you said about being unhappy," Jasmine yelled. "Tell her how many late-night calls you made." Kirk's face turned red instantly. "You are lying for cameras," he shouted back. "You always do this every damn season." But Jasmine wasn't backing down anymore. She opened one audio file, and suddenly Kirk's voice could allegedly be heard speaking softly to someone over the phone. The audio quality was rough, but everybody froze when the voice said, "She don't understand me no more." Rasheeda slowly turned toward Kirk with tears filling her eyes, while producers looked terrified watching everything unfold in real time. Kirk immediately claimed the audio was edited, but the damage was already done. Rasheeda pulled away from him completely. "Edited or not, why are you even talking to her?" she asked quietly. That question hit harder than all the screaming because Kirk suddenly had no answer. Jasmine folded her arms and looked directly at Rasheeda. "Because he never stopped," she said coldly. Emotions ran high across the entire set as cast members started choosing sides almost immediately. Some believed Jasmine was manipulating old conversations to embarrass the couple publicly, while others felt Kirk's nervous reaction exposed more truth than he wanted anyone to know. One crew member reportedly walked off set because the tension became unbearable. Meanwhile, social media had already started exploding with rumors because somebody from production leaked details of the fight online within minutes. Fans were posting clips, reactions, and theories nonstop, with many accusing Kirk of secretly keeping communication with Jasmine the entire time. Backstage, producers begged Rasheeda to calm down before filming completely shut down for the day, but Rasheeda looked emotionally shattered. She sat alone near the dressing room, staring blankly at the floor while Kirk paced the hallway trying to figure out how to save the situation. "Baby, please talk to me," he kept saying through the door. But Rasheeda refused to respond. Inside the room, one makeup artist tried comforting her while she quietly cried and replayed everything in her head. According to people nearby, Rasheeda kept asking the same question over and over again. Why would he even answer her calls? Meanwhile, Jasmine continued venting to producers in another section of the building. She claimed she stayed silent for years because she was tired of receiving hate from fans while Kirk escaped accountability. "Everybody always make me the villain," she said angrily. But nobody asks why he kept coming back. One producer asked Jasmine why she decided to expose everything now, and her answer stunned everybody. She claimed another woman recently contacted her with information about Kirk allegedly speaking to multiple women behind Rasheeda's back. The entire crew reportedly froze hearing that revelation. "There's more than just me," Jasmine warned. "And if Rasheeda thinks I'm lying, she better ask him about Atlanta after dark." Before anyone could even process what she meant, Kirk suddenly stormed into the room demanding cameras shut off immediately. Producers tried stopping him, but Kirk was furious now. "This ain't happening," he yelled while pointing at Jasmine. "You trying to destroy my family because your life miserable?" Jasmine laughed directly in his face. "Your family was already broken," she replied. "I'm just the first one brave enough to say it out loud." The argument became even more explosive when another cast member unexpectedly stepped into the room and revealed they had personally seen Kirk texting somebody secretly during a group dinner weeks earlier. Kirk looked stunned while everybody started shouting at once. "Who was he texting?" one person demanded. Kirk denied everything immediately, but the room no longer trusted his answers. Rasheeda eventually walked out of the dressing room just in time to hear the accusations getting worse. Her face looked completely drained emotionally as she stared at Kirk surrounded by screaming people. Then she quietly asked one question that instantly silenced the entire building. "Is there another woman?" Kirk looked around the room like he was searching for an escape that did not exist. Nobody spoke. Even the producers standing behind the cameras stayed silent because they wanted to hear his answer. Rasheeda's voice cracked slightly when she repeated herself. "Is there another woman?" Kirk rubbed his hands over his face before shaking his head hard. "No," he said quickly. "There is no other woman." But the hesitation before his answer already planted doubt in everybody's mind. Jasmine laughed under her breath and turned away like she had heard enough lies for one day. "He always paused before he lie," she muttered loudly enough for the cameras to catch it. That comment pushed Kirk completely over the edge. He charged toward Jasmine, screaming that she needed to stop talking about his marriage, forcing security guards to jump between them before another fight broke out. Rasheeda stood frozen, watching the entire disaster unfold in front of her, while emotions ran high across the set. One cast member whispered that Kirk looked more scared than angry, and fans online later repeated that exact same opinion after clips from the altercation leaked. Producers finally separated everybody into different rooms, but the damage was already impossible to control. Inside one production office, Kirk desperately tried explaining himself to two executive producers while asking them not to air the footage. "This ain't reality TV drama no more," he argued. "This my real marriage." But producers reminded him that the cameras had captured everything naturally, and viewers were already talking about the incident online. Meanwhile, Rasheeda sat alone again, staring at her wedding ring while one of her closest friends tried comforting her. "You don't deserve this embarrassment," her friend told her softly. Rasheeda wiped tears from her face before responding with something that shocked everybody nearby. "I stayed through everything before," she admitted quietly. "But this feels different." Back in Jasmine's room, she continued unloading years of frustration. She claimed Kirk would randomly reach out whenever his marriage hit rough patches, and allegedly begged her not to expose their conversations publicly. According to Jasmine, Kirk feared Rasheeda would finally leave him if she ever discovered how often communication continued behind the scenes. "He always worried about protecting his image," Jasmine said coldly. "Never hers." One assistant producer asked if Jasmine still had more proof besides the leaked audio. Jasmine slowly nodded before revealing there were allegedly deleted text messages, late-night call logs, and even voice notes Kirk supposedly sent during arguments with Rasheeda. The room erupted instantly. One producer grabbed his headset and rushed into the hallway because everybody understood the scandal was becoming bigger by the minute. At the same time, social media pages started reporting rumors that additional evidence existed beyond the audio leak. Fans became completely divided online. Some accused Jasmine of trying to destroy a marriage for revenge and attention, while others believed Kirk had manipulated both women for years. Hashtags connected to the fight started trending within hours as viewers demanded unreleased footage from the set. Outside the building, bloggers and paparazzi were already gathering after hearing rumors of violence during filming. Inside, tensions only continued getting worse. Kirk eventually requested a private conversation with Rasheeda away from cameras, but producers refused unless both agreed to keep filming. Rasheeda shocked everybody by agreeing immediately. "Nah," she said firmly. "I want cameras there." The atmosphere inside the private lounge became painfully tense as Kirk sat across from Rasheeda, trying to explain himself while cameras rolled silently around them. Kirk claimed Jasmine was twisting harmless conversations into something scandalous because she wanted revenge for past humiliation. "I checked on her sometimes," he admitted carefully, "but it was never like that." Rasheeda stared at him in disbelief. "You checked on the woman who embarrassed me publicly?" she asked. Kirk tried defending himself by saying he wanted peace between everybody for the sake of moving forward, but Rasheeda interrupted him instantly. "Peace?" she snapped. "You calling her behind my back while I'm defending you every season?" Kirk's voice started shaking as he insisted nothing physical or romantic happened recently, but Rasheeda no longer looked convinced. "You made me look stupid again," she whispered. That moment reportedly left several crew members emotional because Rasheeda sounded completely broken. Kirk reached for her hand, but she pulled away immediately. "Don't touch me right now," she warned. Meanwhile, in another room, Jasmine was preparing to leave set when a producer suddenly informed her that somebody else wanted to speak with her privately. Jasmine looked confused until another woman walked into the room unexpectedly. According to witnesses, the entire atmosphere changed instantly the moment Jasmine recognized her. The woman allegedly introduced herself as someone who had also communicated with Kirk recently. Producers nearly lost control trying to keep cameras focused because nobody expected another woman to appear during the chaos. Jasmine looked genuinely stunned, while the woman claimed Kirk had been messaging her through social media for months. "He told me they was separated emotionally," the woman alleged. "He said they only stayed together for business and the show." Jasmine reportedly started laughing in complete disbelief while saying, "Oh, he really reckless now." Producers quickly informed Rasheeda about the new accusations, and sources claimed her entire expression changed the second she heard another woman had arrived. Kirk immediately denied knowing the woman seriously, insisting she was just somebody exaggerating friendly conversations online. But the timing could not have been worse. One producer later admitted the situation became nearly impossible to manage because every new revelation created another explosion. Rasheeda finally walked into the room where the woman waited, and the tension became unbearable instantly. The woman nervously explained that Kirk often replied to her Instagram stories late at night before conversations allegedly became flirtatious. Kirk kept interrupting, calling the claims ridiculous and accusing a woman of chasing clout, but she suddenly pulled out screenshots from her phone. Several cast members gasped when they saw Kirk's profile appearing repeatedly in the messages. Rasheeda looked physically ill again while Kirk kept insisting the messages meant nothing serious. "That's social media," Kirk argued desperately. "Everybody DM everybody." But the excuses were no longer working. Emotions ran high as Rasheeda quietly asked to see the screenshots herself. According to witnesses, her hands started trembling while scrolling through them. One message allegedly read, "You easy to talk to." Another reportedly said, "Wish things was less complicated." Rasheeda handed the phone back slowly before standing completely silent for several seconds. Then she looked directly at Kirk and asked the question nobody expected, "How many women do I gotta sit through today before you finally tell the truth?" Kirk opened his mouth to respond, but before he could speak, Jasmine suddenly dropped another bombshell that changed the entire atmosphere again. "Tell her who was really behind that leaked audio," she said coldly, "because it wasn't me." The entire room froze again after Jasmine said those words. Even Kirk stopped arguing for a second, because nobody expected that twist. Rasheeda narrowed her eyes immediately. "What you mean it wasn't you?" she asked slowly. Jasmine crossed her arms and leaned back against the wall while producers moved closer, desperate not to miss a single second. "I didn't leak the audio," Jasmine repeated firmly. "Somebody else sent it out before I even knew it was circulating?" Kirk looked completely stunned. "That's a damn lie," he snapped instantly. "Who else would have it?" Jasmine shook her head. "You should ask your little friends around Atlanta," she replied, "because clearly somebody been recording more than just me." The room erupted into confusion. Cast members started whispering to each other while producers checked their phones, frantically trying to figure out whether another leak existed online already. Rasheeda looked emotionally exhausted at this point, but curiosity kept her standing there. "Who leaked it then?" she demanded. Jasmine hesitated for a moment before saying a name that reportedly sent shockwaves across the set. According to multiple people present, the name belonged to someone very close to Kirk and Rasheeda's inner circle. One female cast member immediately covered her mouth in disbelief, while Kirk exploded with anger. "You better stop lying right now," he shouted while security stepped forward again. But Jasmine doubled down harder than ever. She claimed the person leaked the recording because they were tired of protecting Kirk's secrets and watching Rasheeda get embarrassed publicly year after year. "Everybody around y'all know way more than you think," Jasmine warned. Rasheeda slowly sat down because the situation had become too overwhelming emotionally. "So everybody knew except me?" she asked quietly. Nobody answered her. That silence hurt worse than all the screaming earlier. One producer later admitted that was the exact moment the atmosphere shifted from reality TV chaos into something deeply personal and painful. Kirk kept pacing aggressively while denying every accusation thrown at him, but the pressure around him was clearly building. Then another shocking moment happened. One of the cameras accidentally caught Kirk whispering to a producer off to the side, allegedly asking what footage could legally be removed before airing. Once cast members noticed that conversation, everybody immediately started accusing Kirk of trying to hide something bigger. "Why you scared of footage if you innocent?" Jasmine fired back. Kirk slammed his hands against a table and yelled that he was tired of people destroying his family for entertainment. But Jasmine refused to let up. She claimed Kirk had spent years manipulating situations behind the scenes, while letting women take the blame publicly. "You always let Rasheeda fight your battles," Jasmine said coldly. "That woman been protecting you while you're out here moving reckless." Rasheeda looked shattered hearing those words because deep down she seemed to realize there might be truth hidden inside them. Meanwhile, outside the studio, bloggers had now fully surrounded the building after hearing rumors about physical fights and cheating accusations. Fans online were going completely insane as partial audio clips and blurry backstage footage leaked across social media platforms. Some viewers defended Rasheeda passionately, saying she had tolerated humiliation for too long already. Others accused Jasmine of intentionally dragging old wounds back into public view for revenge. But the biggest debate centered around Kirk. Many fans claimed his nervous behavior made him look guilty long before any real evidence appeared. Inside the studio, producers tried calming everybody down enough to continue filming, but emotions remained explosive. Rasheeda eventually stood back up and asked everybody except Kirk to leave the room. Surprisingly, Jasmine refused at first. "Nah," she said, "because every time I leave, he changed the story." Rasheeda looked directly at her and quietly replied, "Please." Jasmine finally nodded before walking out with the others, leaving Kirk and Rasheeda alone together for the first time since the fight exploded. According to crew members listening through production audio, the conversation became heartbreakingly emotional almost immediately. Rasheeda asked Kirk whether he had truly been unhappy in their marriage all this time. Kirk denied it repeatedly, insisting he loved her and never wanted to hurt her. But Rasheeda sounded emotionally drained now rather than angry. "Every season, it's another woman," she whispered. "Another lie, another apology, another embarrassment." Kirk reportedly started crying while telling her he never physically cheated recently and that most of the accusations were exaggerated. But Rasheeda kept focusing on one issue that seemed impossible for her to move past. "Why keep talking to Jasmine?" she asked again. Kirk admitted he answered messages sometimes because he did not want ongoing tension affecting the show or their business relationships. Rasheeda immediately shook her head in disbelief. "You risked our marriage for conversations that should have never happened," she replied. Before Kirk could answer, a loud argument suddenly erupted outside the room. Producers rushed into the hallway and discovered Jasmine screaming at another cast member who allegedly accused her of planning the entire leak for months. Jasmine denied it furiously while claiming somebody else inside the group had been secretly collecting dirt on Kirk for years. Then came another bombshell. Jasmine claimed there were additional recordings involving conversations between Kirk and several people discussing Rasheeda privately behind her back. "If those audios come out, this whole thing over," Jasmine warned. Cast members looked horrified because nobody knew how much footage or audio might actually exist anymore. Kirk stormed out of the private room after hearing the commotion and immediately demanded Jasmine hand over every recording connected to him. "You obsessed," he yelled. "You've been trying to ruin my life for years." Jasmine stepped closer without fear. "Your lies ruined your life," she shot back. Suddenly, another producer entered holding a phone with a terrified expression on his face. According to witnesses, a new clip had just leaked online while everyone was still filming. The producer reportedly played the clip quietly for Kirk first, and Kirk's face lost all color within seconds. Rasheeda instantly noticed his reaction. "What is it?" she demanded. Kirk tried grabbing the phone away, but it was too late. The producer reluctantly played the audio aloud, and everybody in the hallway fell silent listening to a male voice that sounded exactly like Kirk allegedly saying one sentence that changed everything. "Rasheeda ain't leaving no matter what I do." The hallway exploded into absolute chaos after that audio played. Several cast members started shouting at the same time, while producers scrambled to stop cameras from getting knocked over during the commotion. Rasheeda looked like the air had been ripped straight out of her chest. She stood completely still, staring at Kirk while tears slowly filled her eyes again. Kirk immediately denied the context of the recording, claiming the clip was edited and manipulated to make him sound arrogant and disrespectful. But nobody around him looked convinced anymore. Jasmine folded her arms and shook her head slowly. "That's the real him," she said quietly. "That's how he talks when camera's gone." Rasheeda's face hardened instantly after hearing that. "Did you say it?" she asked Kirk directly. Kirk hesitated again, and that pause destroyed whatever trust still remained in the room. "It wasn't like that," he answered nervously. "We was joking around." Rasheeda laughed bitterly through tears. "Joking?" she repeated. "You joking about humiliating your wife." Emotions ran high as the entire cast watched their marriage unravel in real time. One producer later admitted the atmosphere became painfully uncomfortable because nobody knew whether filming should continue anymore. Kirk tried walking closer to Rasheeda, but she backed away immediately. "Don't come near me right now," she warned. The sadness in her voice hit harder than the earlier screaming because everybody could hear how emotionally exhausted she had become. Meanwhile, social media had become completely unhinged outside the studio. Fans were reposting leaked clips nonstop, while bloggers claimed insiders from production were secretly feeding information to gossip pages in real time. Hashtags calling Kirk manipulative started trending within hours. Some viewers even demanded Rasheeda finally leave the marriage, for good. Inside the building, producers attempted damage control by asking everybody to regroup for calmer conversations, but nothing about the situation was calm anymore. Jasmine suddenly revealed that the leaked sentence was allegedly part of a much longer conversation involving Kirk speaking about his marriage struggles with several people privately. "There's hours of audio," she claimed. That statement immediately terrified everybody. Kirk lost his temper completely and accused Jasmine of orchestrating an attack against his family for revenge and publicity. "You sick," he shouted while security guards once again stepped between them. But Jasmine screamed back louder. "You scared because people hearing the real you," Rasheeda finally snapped emotionally at that point. "Both of y'all stop," she screamed. So loudly, the entire hallway went silent. Instantly. She looked back and forth between Kirk and Jasmine with tears streaming down her face. "I am tired," she whispered. "I'm tired of defending lies. I'm tired of waking up every year to another woman attached to my marriage." Several people nearby reportedly started crying quietly because the pain in her voice felt painfully real. Kirk tried apologizing again, but Rasheeda cut him off before he could finish. "Every apology sounds the same now," she told him. Then came another shocking twist. Nobody expected one assistant producer received a phone call and suddenly rushed toward the executive team looking panicked. According to insiders, another woman had allegedly contacted production, claiming she also had messages from Kirk. The entire crew lost control trying to verify whether the information was real. Kirk looked furious and exhausted at the same time, as he denied everything again. "This turning into a damn circus," he yelled, but producers could not ignore the claims anymore because the scandal was already spiraling publicly online. Rasheeda reportedly walked away from the group and locked herself inside a dressing room for nearly 40 minutes while cameras waited outside. During that time, cast members argued fiercely among themselves about who was telling the truth. Some believed Kirk was being targeted unfairly because of old mistakes. Others felt years of rumors finally pointed toward a much deeper pattern of behavior. Jasmine remained calm for the first time all day while scrolling through her phone silently. One cast member approached her privately and allegedly asked if she still cared about Kirk emotionally. Jasmine paused before answering softly, "I care about the truth now." That conversation reportedly shocked producers because Jasmine suddenly seemed less angry and more emotionally wounded than before. Meanwhile, inside the dressing room, Rasheeda spoke privately with one of her closest friends, while microphones still captured parts of the conversation. "I gave this man everything," she cried quietly. "Every scandal, every rumor, every humiliation. I stayed." Her friend encouraged her to think about her own peace instead of protecting appearances anymore. Outside the door, Kirk sat alone in the hallway with his head lowered into his hands, looking completely defeated. Several crew members later admitted they had never seen him look that broken before. But just when a situation seemed incapable of getting worse, another disaster hit. One blogger outside the studio uploaded what they claimed was a screenshot from an unreleased group chat involving Kirk and multiple people discussing Rasheeda privately. Within minutes, phones all over the building started buzzing nonstop. Producers rushed to contain the leak while cast members searched social media frantically. According to the screenshot, someone allegedly asked Kirk why Rasheeda never left despite repeated scandals. And the reply appearing under Kirk's name allegedly read, "Because she know we built too much together." Fans online instantly exploded with outrage, accusing Kirk of treating his marriage like a business arrangement instead of a real relationship. Kirk denied sending the message immediately, claiming fake screenshots were now being created to destroy him publicly. But the timing made everything look worse. Rasheeda eventually walked back into the hallway, holding her phone tightly while staring at the viral screenshot. She looked emotionally numb now rather than angry. "Is any of this fake?" she asked quietly. Kirk tried explaining again that people were manipulating conversations and editing clips for attention, but Rasheeda interrupted him softly. "I don't even know what truth looked like anymore." That sentence reportedly left the entire hallway silent again. Even Jasmine looked emotional hearing it. Then another unexpected moment happened. Jasmine slowly stepped toward Rasheeda and, for the first time all day, apologized. "I never wanted you hurt like this," she admitted quietly. The apology shocked everybody because moments earlier they had physically fought. Rasheeda stared at Jasmine for several long seconds before asking the question that changed the atmosphere completely one final time. "If you knew all this, why didn't you warn me sooner?" Jasmine stood still for a moment, and the silence around her felt heavier than all the shouting from earlier. Kirk looked up immediately, waiting for her answer like his future depended on it. Rasheeda did not move either. She only watched, tired in a way that made even the cameras feel intrusive. Jasmine finally spoke, her voice lower than before. "Because every time I tried, it came back on me," she said. "Every time I said something, I was the villain, the bitter one, the problem." She paused and looked down at her phone for a second. "And because someone always told me to stay quiet for the sake of the show." That last line changed the energy in the room again. Kirk stepped forward quickly. "Who told you that?" he demanded. "Name them right now." His voice was sharp, but there was a crack in it now, like he was losing control of the narrative piece by piece. Jasmine looked at him directly. "You did." Rasheeda's head lifted slightly at that, eyes narrowing again. "He told you to stay quiet?" she asked, slow and careful, like she was trying to confirm she heard it right. Jasmine nodded, not always directly, but yeah. "Messages, calls, don't take this to production, don't make it bigger, we'll handle it privately," that kind of thing. Kirk immediately shook his head. "You twisting everything, I never told you to cover anything up." But Jasmine kept going anyway, her voice steadier now. You didn't want it public because it would damage your image. That's all it was. Producers could be seen in the background exchanging looks. Realizing they were no longer dealing with a single leak, it was becoming a full timeline of overlapping accusations, each one feeding the next. Rasheeda slowly turned her attention back to Kirk. Her voice was quieter now, but sharper in meaning. So when I was asking you if anything was going on, and you kept telling me I was imagining things, what was that? Kirk tried to respond immediately, but no words came out for a second. That silence again did more damage than any answer could fix. Rasheeda, I swear I never cheated on you like that, he finally said. I made mistakes, but not what she is saying. Mistakes? She repeated. You call it mistakes when you're texting people at night telling them your marriage is basically done? That hit harder than expected. Kirk's expression tightened, and for the first time he looked less angry and more cornered. One of the producers stepped forward, trying to regain control of the situation. We need everyone to calm down. We are still on set. We cannot continue like this. But nobody listened. Rasheeda suddenly raised her hand slightly. No, she said. I want everything out. That single sentence changed everything again. Several crew members stopped moving. Even Jasmine looked surprised. Kirk turned toward her. What do you mean everything out? Rasheeda's eyes stayed locked on him. I mean, stop protecting me from the truth. Stop protecting yourself from the truth. Whatever is out there, bring it. All of it. There was a long pause after that. Then a production assistant walked in quickly, holding a folder and a phone, looking visibly shaken. We just got another file, he said. It came from an anonymous source. Its audio again made everyone tense instantly. Kirk stepped forward. Don't play anything without legal review. But another producer had already taken the phone. The audio started immediately. At first, it was unclear voices, low and distant. Then a male voice became recognizable enough to make the room go still again. It sounded like Kirk, but more relaxed, like he was speaking without awareness of being recorded. She'll calm down eventually, the voice said. She always does. We just write it out. Rasheeda's face did not change at first. She just stared at the phone like she was trying to decide if her mind was playing tricks on her. Kirk immediately reacted. That is edited. That is not complete context. But the producer did not stop the audio yet. Another line followed. She's not leaving. She never does. That was the second strike. Rasheeda blinked slowly. Once. Then again. Jasmine looked away this time, like even she was uncomfortable hearing it played out loud in that way. Kirk raised his voice. Turn it off. Right now, that's enough. The producer finally stopped it. Silence dropped back into the room, heavier than before. Rasheeda spoke again, but her voice was very different now, calm in a way that made people uneasy. So that's how you see me, she said. Kirk stepped closer, shaking his head quickly. No, that is not how I see you. You're taking it out of context. Rasheeda cut him off gently. Stop. That one word made him stop talking. She looked down at her ring again, then slowly back up. I stayed because I thought I was building something real. Her voice started to break slightly, but she held it together. But you were talking about me like I was a situation you could manage. Kirk's face shifted. Rasheeda, that is not what I meant. I swear. But she was not really listening anymore. Behind them, Jasmine quietly stepped back, realizing the moment was no longer about her accusations. It had shifted into something deeper and more final. Rasheeda took a slow breath. Then she said something nobody expected. I am done being managed. The room did not react immediately, because nobody was sure what that meant in real time. Kirk looked confused for a second, like he was waiting for clarification. What are you saying? He asked softly. Rasheeda looked directly at him one last time. I am saying I am not doing this anymore. And for the first time all day, Kirk did not have a response ready. Kirk stood there as if the floor had shifted under him, trying to process what she had just said. His mouth opened slightly, but nothing came out. The usual confidence, the quick explanations, the controlled tone he used in interviews and arguments, none of it appeared this time. Rasheeda was not crying now. She was calm in a way that felt final. Rasheeda, please, he finally said, his voice lower. Don't do this in front of everybody. She looked at him with a tired expression. This was never just in front of everybody, she replied. This has been happening in private for a long time. You just never saw it the same way I did. Behind them, the crew stayed still, unsure whether to keep filming or step away. Even Jasmine had moved further back, no longer speaking, just watching the exchange unfold like it belonged to someone else now. Kirk took another step closer. "You're making a decision based on clips and audio that is not even fully clear," he said. "You know how editing works. You know how people twist things." Rasheeda shook her head slowly. "I am making a decision based on years," she answered. "Not just today." That line landed harder than anything else. A producer tried to quietly signal for a pause in filming, but the executive team insisted cameras stay on. They could sense they were witnessing something that would define the season. Kirk turned slightly toward the crew, as if looking for someone to support him. "Y'all really gonna just sit here and let this play out like this?" he asked. "This is my marriage." No one answered him. Rasheeda's voice came again, steady but lower. "It was our marriage," she corrected him. "Now it's just something we kept trying to fix while it kept breaking." "So what now?" he asked. "You just done? Like that?" She did not answer immediately. Instead, she looked past him for a moment, as if thinking about everything that had built up to this point. The accusations, the leaks, the arguments, the public humiliation, the private apologies that never changed anything. When she spoke again, her voice was quiet. "I don't want to argue anymore. I don't want promises. I don't want promises." "I can fix this," he said quickly. "Just tell me what you need me to do." Rasheeda finally met his eyes again. "That is the problem," she said. "You always think it can be fixed in a moment, like it is something you solve after it breaks. But I lived through too many moments." A long silence followed. Jasmine, still in the background, finally spoke again, almost reluctantly. "This is what I was trying to tell you," she said softly. "It was never one thing. It kept building." Kirk turned his head sharply toward her. "You need to stop talking," he snapped. But there was less force in it now. Rasheeda raised her hand slightly again. "No," she said. "Let her speak." That surprised everyone. Jasmine hesitated, then continued. "I did not come here to destroy your life. I came because I was tired of carrying things alone. And every time I tried to say something, it turned into me being the problem." Rasheeda listened without interrupting. Jasmine looked at her directly now. "And I am sorry it ended like this." Rasheeda nodded once, slowly. "I believe you are sorry," she said, "but that does not change where I am right now." Kirk let out a short breath, almost like he was losing patience with the entire situation. "So that's it?" he asked again. "You just walking away because of rumors and people talking?" Rasheeda finally turned fully toward him. "No," she said. "I am walking away because I stopped feeling safe in the same story I kept defending." That sentence changed the tone again. Even the crew felt it. It was not anger anymore. It was distance. A producer quietly instructed someone to prepare a break, but no one moved fast enough to interrupt what was happening naturally. Kirk lowered his voice again. "You don't mean that," he said, almost pleading now. "You are emotional. This is too much at once." Rasheeda shook her head. "This is not at once," she replied. "This is years." She took a small step back, then looked around the room briefly. The cameras, the crew, the silence. Then she looked back at Kirk. "I am going home," she said simply. Kirk immediately tried to follow. "We can go together. We can talk without all this." But she stopped him with a look. Not harsh, not loud, just spinal. "No," she said. And for the first time, Kirk did not try to argue again. He just stood there, watching her turn away if the set remained frozen in silence around them. Rasheeda walked past the crew without looking back, and the entire set felt like it was holding its breath. Nobody moved to stop her. Nobody even tried. The only sound was the soft shuffle of her steps fading down the hallway. Kirk stayed where he was for a moment, staring at the space she had just left. It did not look real to him yet, like something had happened too quickly for his mind to catch up. "Rasheeda," he called out once, but his voice was weak now. There was no answer. Jasmine shifted uncomfortably, watching him from a distance. The anger she had carried earlier was still there, but it was quieter now, replaced with something closer to uncertainty. The situation was no longer something she could control or steer. It had grown beyond her too. One of the producers finally stepped forward. "We need to wrap this segment," he said carefully, like he was speaking in a room full of broken glass. But Kirk suddenly turned on him. "Wrap what?" he snapped. "You think this is a segment? You've just watched my marriage end." There was nothing useful to say. Kirk ran a hand over his face, pacing once across the room. "This is not happening like this," he muttered. "Not like this." Outside the main set, Rasheeda had reached the corridor leading toward the exit. A production assistant followed at a distance, unsure whether to offer support or simply give space. She stopped near a wall for a moment, placing one hand against it as if steadying herself. Her breathing was controlled, but her eyes looked distant, like she was trying not to collapse emotionally in front of everyone. One of her close friends from production approached slowly. "Do you want me to come with you?" she asked gently. Rasheeda hesitated, then shook her head. "No," she said. "I just need quiet." She continued walking back inside the studio. Jasmine finally sat down in a chair near the edge of the room. The adrenaline that had carried her through the confrontation was wearing off. She stared at her phone again, but she was not scrolling anymore, just holding it. Kirk noticed her and walked toward her suddenly. "You happy now?" he asked, voice low but sharp again. Jasmine looked up at him. "This was never about being happy," she said. "Stop making it sound like I wanted this." Kirk laughed once, but it was empty. "You brought it here," he said. "You and your stories and your recordings." Jasmine stood up slowly. "No," she replied. "You brought it here when you kept thinking it would never come out." That line made him pause. For a second, neither of them spoke. A producer stepped between them again, signaling that they needed distance before the situation escalated further. Kirk did not push forward this time, but his frustration was still visible in the way he stood rigid, jaw tight. "You ruined everything," he said quietly, not shouting anymore. Jasmine shook her head slightly. "No," she said. "I stopped pretending everything was fine." The words hung in the air. Somewhere down the hallway, a door closed. Rasheeda had left the building. That sound seemed to land harder than anything else that day. Kirk heard it too. His expression changed slightly, like reality finally started to register in full. He turned toward the direction she had gone, then stopped himself, as if unsure whether following her would make anything better or worse. A crew member quietly informed production that Rasheeda's car had already left the lot. There was no chase, no last-minute confrontation, no dramatic return, just an exit. Jasmine sat back down again, this time slower, as if her body had fully given in to exhaustion. She looked down at her hands. "This is going to destroy all of us," she said under her breath. No one disagreed. Kirk stood in the center of the room for a long time without speaking. The cameras were still on him, but he did not seem aware of them anymore. Then he finally said, almost to himself, "She really left." And this time, no one corrected him. The studio stayed frozen even after Kirk's words settled into the air. "She really left" sounded less like a question and more like a realization he could not undo. No one responded. Even the crew that normally moved quickly between setups just stood still, watching a situation that had gone far beyond filming. Kirk eventually sat down in the nearest chair, elbows on his knees, staring at the floor like he was trying to find logic in what had just happened. Jasmine remained standing for a moment longer, then slowly picked up her bag. There was nothing left for her to argue, defend, or explain. The confrontation had already moved past her too. One producer finally spoke quietly. "We are shutting down for the day." Outside the building, the last traces of Rasheeda's car were already gone from the lot. Cameras captured Kirk looking toward the exit again, but he did not move this time. There was a heaviness in the room that felt permanent, like something had cracked in a way that could not be repaired on set or off it. Jasmine paused at the door before leaving. She did not look back at Kirk. She only said one thing softly enough that only a few nearby crew members heard it. Truth always finds its way out. It just takes time. Kirk stayed seated long after everyone else began clearing the studio. The noise of equipment being packed away filled the background, but it felt distant, disconnected, like the world had shifted slightly and left him behind in a quieter version of it. Producers exchanged worried looks, already aware that the fallout from this moment would extend far beyond a single episode. Leaked audio, accusations, and now a public separation had created a storm that would not settle quickly. Every conversation from this day would likely be replayed, analyzed, and argued over again and again by viewers trying to piece together what really happened. Kirk finally stood up slowly, adjusting his jacket out of habit more than need. He looked around the room one last time, then walked toward the hallway where Rasheeda had left earlier. He stopped halfway, then turned back without going further. There was nothing to follow anymore. Just silence. just space where everything used to be. The cameras slowly faded from him as production officially ended the shoot, leaving only the sense of a story that had not closed properly but simply stopped in the middle of its own collapse. And now the question that remained was simple but heavy. Was this the end of Rasheeda and Kirk, or only the beginning of everything finally coming fully into the open? If you have been watching this unfold, leave your thoughts below. Do you think Rasheeda made the right decision walking away? Or is there still more truth waiting to surface that could change everything again? Share your opinion, stay tuned, and make sure you are subscribed, because in stories like this, the final answer is never really final. The studio was already emptying when Kirk finally stepped into the hallway, moving slower than before. Like every step carried weight he could not shake off. The lights were still on, but the energy was gone, replaced by a strange quiet that did not match what had just unfolded. A few crew members passed him without speaking, avoiding eye contact as if the day had ended in a way nobody knew how to acknowledge. He stopped near the exit for a moment, looking out through the glass doors where Rasheeda had left earlier. The street outside felt normal, unchanged, like nothing inside had collapsed at all. That contrast made everything worse. Inside the building, producers were already discussing damage control, edits, and what could even be salvaged from footage that had turned into something far beyond entertainment. Jasmine had left without another word, and her absence only made the silence heavier. Kirk exhaled slowly, then finally walked out. No cameras followed. No arguments continued. Just the sound of the door closing behind him, and in that moment the entire situation felt less like a storyline and more like something that could not be undone. Because what started as a leaked audio and a confrontation on set had now become something permanent in everyone's mind. A marriage shaken in public, trust broken in real time, and a question that still has no clear answer. What really happens when private truth becomes public damage, and there is no version of the story left that feels safe to believe? Now it is your turn. Do you think Rasheeda made the final right call walking away? Or was there still a way back from everything that was revealed? And who do you believe carried the truth in all of this? Share your thoughts, stay connected, and if you want more raw breakdowns of reality TV drama like this, make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications, because the next story can shift everything again without warning.